Hello and welcome to Radio Primavera Sound once again. Thanks to Boris, and it is an absolute pleasure to welcome Zopa. How are you doing?
Good.
Very good. Thanks for having us.
Thank
you for coming.
Absolutely. Patience in Tibetan, right?
Correct.
Exactly.
And did you know in Spanish it sounds like you're saying soup but with a lisp? So you're saying like soup.
You're saying what?
Soup. Like
soup.
If you say soup but you have like a lisp, so that's how it sounds in Spanish.
And in Russian, Zopa means ass.
It's a great name.
It's a different pronunciation, but somewhat appropriate.
Your wife is Russian American, is that correct?
She's Ukrainian, but that has nothing to do with the name.
Didn't she sort of warn you at any point? She was like, well...
No, I mean, we say Zopa, we don't say Zopa. They're two different words.
Okay. So, it's your first time in Barcelona. We were just talking a bit about this outside. How's it been?
Beautiful. We love it here.
And your first Spanish gig was Tuesday nights, right?
What night was that?
That rings a bell.
Yeah, Tuesday night at Sala Apollo. Yeah, with 3 other bands. And it was a very lively audience and really fun and a cool venue. Yeah, it was a blast.
Did you get to see the other bands?
Yeah. Julia Amor was great. They were all great.
Yep.
And it's a great audience. It's just a really nice energy here.
So I've got a classic question, but how did the band get together?
So Olmo and I met how many years ago was that? 22 years ago.
32
years ago, sorry. So he was 8 years old and I was 25 and we were in a movie together. And his brother and I had a lot of scenes together. His brother's 10 years older, his brother Michael. And his brother and I became friends. We did a play together, and then Michael went into music. Was actually in Jeff Buckley's band, played guitar when Grace and toured. And we stayed in touch. And years later, fast forward to 2006, I wanted to put a band together. And Michael told me that Olmo was playing the drums. I hadn't seen Olmo since he was 8, and now he was 22, I guess, 23. And I looked him up, and we met and played, and it was really fun. And then he said, would you like to play with a bass player? And he said, my buddy, we go back to middle school, and Elijah came in for the next practice, and that was the beginning.
Yeah. I called Elijah. I was like, do you want to play in this band? And he was like, that's really exciting. He's not at all like the character on the show, though. I was like, no, not at all. Don't worry.
Talking about acting and you being Michael Imperioli, how does that work when it comes to the band? Do you like so that people discover your band thanks to you being known mostly for The Sopranos and now White Lotus, or do you prefer having those two separate worlds as two different things and maybe not putting them so much together?
Well, people are going to discover how they discover, and that's fine. However they discover you, that's cool. If they listen to the music and like it, that's all that matters. And you can't control that really, but the music is its own thing. And, for me, it's all, whether you're doing acting or writing or music, this stuff is very independent. What we do, it's our thing. There's no one else involved, so it's all, that creativity comes from the same place when you're doing something that's personal, and our music is. So to me, it's not so much of a separation, and however people discover it, I'm fine with that.
And I read on your Instagram bio, you have a new album coming. Can you tell us something about it? What can we expect? Some exclusive?
Well, it was produced by Elijah and John Agnello, who's done a lot of work with Dinosaur Jr. and Sonic Youth and Kurt Vile and Horse Girl, a lot of good bands. And Elijah produced our first album. This album's done. We're actually have it out to a label or two and seeing if someone wants to work with us on it, because we're really proud of it. How would you describe it?
We were just talking about it earlier today. It's I think the first album was sort of a mid-fi sound, and this is like a hi-fi sound, relatively speaking. It's like a bigger sort of deeper, swirlier, atmospheric sort of heavy rock sound.
Mm-hmm. Less New York punk kind of vibes.
Yeah.
That are there in certain spots, but more elevated kind of.
Well, I was going to say, for me, as a band, you sound very New York. Is that something you'd agree with?
Yeah.
Well, we're from New York.
Yeah. No, I think that's going to be there. I think it's not something I don't think we try to be. It's just who we are. The city informs you as a human being, especially as an artist. It just does energetically, and how you see the world. And I kind of see it, we're part of, artistically, whether as an actor or a musician, of a lineage of New York artists. And I kind of feel like Zopa has that connection as well. We're proud of that.
Yeah, Olmo and I, in high school, were playing together on the Lower East Side, in a little practice space through his brother. And so all of that sort of informs the attitude and the approach to the music.
So were you two in lots and lots of school bands then?
We just had sort of an informal, band.
Just bass and drums. And then
We didn't really know what we were doing.
this is way more organized than anything we did.
A bit more.
Yeah.
And when it comes to creating as you three, how do you do it? Is it like a full collective thing? Is someone more into lyrics and then you're producing? And how do you, to me this is the most important part of the question, how do you tell someone when you don't like what the other made, that's not going into the album, and not hurt the other's feeling? Or you always agree?
I don't think that's happened yet, where we've had to be like that's not gonna work. I think
that's amazing.
I think
You kind of
Michael's a
know
good
the
lyricist
energy.
and-
It's either feeling really good or it doesn't, and then you just move on to something else.
You're
a
like,
few of
I
the
didn't
songs
like it
just
either.
happen.
Yeah, that I think that's why it works as a band, because if one of us is passionate about something, the three of us are going to be passionate, connect to. If one of us really connects, it brings an idea, chord progression, or a beat, or a lyric, and is really passionate, chances are the three of us
You're
are going
all-
to be. And that's why it works as a band, because we think we get where we have similar sensibilities, but we also get where each other's coming from. In many ways, it's very collaborative, even if one person brings in, the bones of the idea, but yet the song doesn't really happen until the three of us put our fingers into it.
But there's got to be one band you disagree on. There always is. What's the band that one of you likes and the rest of you hates?
Oh, that's different. when we're talking about personally our work, we all kind of connect. But outside bands, yeah, we have very diverse.
I think we all have pretty eclectic taste.
Yeah.
I can say that. Yeah. I don't know. What's a band that one of us hates? I don't know.
What's someone?
I don't think we're prepared to say that.
You're banned
Caught us
from
off
that
guard with
any
that.
show. But what's each of your band? If you had to say an artist that someone would be surprised to learn that you listen to for the sound of Zopa, that doesn't sound like someone they would listen to, who would you say?
Barbara Streisand. No. Well, yeah,
That's a
sure.
good
Why not? We're like Zeppelin freaks. We always have been.
The Carpenters.
I love Karen Carpenter.
I mean, the
is
Carpenters are
yeah.
great, but maybe you would, listening to Zopa, you might not see that.
make
But
the relation.
melodically, some of their stuff is really.
Her playing was amazing too. She thought of herself as a drummer who sang, not a singer who played drums.
I listen to a lot of classical music and go see a lot of classical music. and try to really pay attention to melody when I go. Why something has lasted hundreds of years? Why this song has people listen to it for hundreds of years and love it? Why that melody? And just try to see how, I don't like everything I go see, but I like a lot of it.
Do you ever come to any conclusions, as in like, well, this is why it's lasted that amount of time, or is it just it's a very good melody?
That's good. That's a really good question. Actually, rather than saying why it works, just trying to absorb that it works, right? Just letting it touch you. Why some music touches you and inspires you, and others don't, but it may inspire someone else. The last classical music we saw a pianist do some Chopin pieces, and the first two pieces the guy played were I'd never heard, and they were kind of awful. I'm like, this is so not indicative of Chopin's work, right? They were like marches. And then I looked in the program, like, Chopin wrote them when he was 16. I'm like, okay. And then later on, he played much more of the stuff you'd associate, like the, more the sonatas. And that was more when he was in his 30s after his heart had been broken several times.
I was going to say that. Yeah.
You need heartbreak. Yeah.
Just like rock and roll. Right?
So maybe you're not prepared for this question, but like you're big music fans, I know. Is there anything you're kind of really looking forward to seeing tonight at Primavera?
New Order, yeah,
New Order.
for sure. And Blur, I'm a big Blur fan. Yeah.
Blur's amazing.
New Order, Blur, anything else?
Blonde Shell.
Yeah, we're playing with Blonde Shell next week in Madrid. Yeah.
Yeah. I think they're fellow New Yorkers, right?
And this might be a typical question, and you've been asked plenty of times, but what is your dream collab, or maybe a collab that can happen or is happening?
With another artist?
Yeah. Well, or
Someone said that Neil Young might listen to the new record, so that's better than
Let's
any
manifest
collaboration. That's all I need.
Oh, PJ Harvey,
Oh.
Cat Power, maybe.
yeah, that would be amazing.
Cat Power was a very big influence on me starting Zopa, believe it or not. Yeah.
So how do you get Neil Young might be listening to the new album? Like,
Mutual friend.
right. But he hasn't said he's going to. He's like, yeah, maybe.
But
He's curious.
But we don't have anything written in.
Right.
Just the idea.
So we're going to be in New York in a couple of months. Mar's never been. I have. Don't worry, we're not going to ask if we can stay on your sofa. We've got a place to stay. But what would where should we check out? Where's like good to see music in New York?
When are you going?
July?
July the 7th.
For a week or for what? For 2
Sort of 4 days.
A little
I
bit
think.
less than a week, yeah.
We've got a gig in New York, would you believe? You're very welcome to.
You're playing?
Where are you guys playing?
We're radioing.
You're
Yeah.
doing Primavera. For music, there's,
We playing?
we're playing the 15th July.
Oh, no.
In Rockaway Beach, a new venue. Musically, I mean, there's TVI is a really great club in Ridgewood that has great live music. Baby's All Right's a really good one.
Our Wicked Lady.
Yeah. Those are kind of our favorites right now. Small, but really fun.
I'm taking notes on everything.
And also, just because, well, we need recommendations. Where should we eat?
Oh, Lucali's Pizza in Cobble Hill, Brooklyn.
Nice.
Lucali's is really fantastic.
Yeah.
Lots of good food in Queens. Amazing Southeast Asian food.
Or any pizza place, by the slice. And if you can fold the pizza and it cracks down the middle, that's how you know it's good.
They say American pizza is very different from what we have here, so I'm so intrigued by what they mean by American pizza. So
Well,
okay.
New York pizza specifically, I guess it's like aged mozzarella as opposed to fresh mozzarella, right?
Usually, yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of more, less moisture in the
Right.
mozzarella.
Oh.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it melts and kind of gets more, como se dice, dorado.
Not too thick, not too
Exactly.
thin.
Talking of gigs, I read you did your first gig in 2006 in Lisbon, which seems like a very strange place for a New York band to do a gig, and also seems a very long time ago. Like, how come?
Yeah, it's interesting. We formed at the end of February in 2006, started writing a bunch of songs in end of February, March, April, and the beginning of May, I had to go to Portugal to shoot a movie in a month. And then a friend of mine was working with a rock club in Lisbon and said, why don't you play a show here? So when the movie was over, the guys came over and we practiced for a week and then did our first show at a place called Maxime's. That's not there anymore. That was really cool. In Lisbon.
Iconic to be like the first show in Lisbon and you being from New York, like, yeah, fuck it.
It was fun. And we went back a couple of years later, played at a different club. But 2006 to 2013, we played every club we could in New York and events in New York and did a little tour, East Coast, played in LA a couple of times. And then I moved to Santa Barbara, California. So from 2013 till like 2020, we weren't playing together. And then I started doing some live readings of a book that I wrote, and Olmo accompanied me, and Elijah accompanied me a couple of times, and then I moved back to New York in 21, and since then we've been doing a lot of writing, and the new album mostly is from the last couple of years.
I'm interested as well because, I'm a person of a certain age, and kind of what is it like touring when you're, how to put this, when you're no longer in your 20s, or maybe you're in your 20s.
Careful.
If any of you are in your 20s, I apologize thoroughly, but is it sort of more, is it more sedate? Is it kind of nice? You get to go and hang out in places, or is it the same kind of like, getting in a tiny van and
It's been pretty it's pretty
fun.
chill. I mean, especially this one because we have a whole bunch of days between the two gigs between Barcelona and Madrid. So yeah, we've been able to just sort of relax and sightsee a bit.
Maybe when the new album comes out, we'll get a tour that will exhaust us, but it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, I have to pace myself. I mean, I'm a lot older than these guys, and energy's got to be conserved the right way, and but that's a good thing, I mean, I'm kind of used to that from doing, long shoots and stuff like that. It's the same thing. You have to get rest, and you have to eat good, and you have to sleep, and sustain long hours, and no, it's a good discipline, I think you have to be in shape also, music is very physical, at least our music is, I find it very physical. And I like that discipline and challenge.
And talking about energy, do you have like any ritual before going on stage and being like, yeah, hyping us up?
Like backstage?
Yeah. Or I don't
Do
know.
like a group hug.
We did that in London, yeah.
I pee about 100 times
Yeah,
Because of the nerves.
because I
the
drink a lot of
bathroom.
water and I'm nervous.
And
Olmo plays on his knee.
We
Plays
pace
drums on
around
his
a lot.
knee for a long time.
And do you have something weird or something different that you always need backstage? Like, I need an apple before going on stage. It has to always be there. Or I need this, I don't know. Or you're just easygoing.
We're
and
pretty
you don't have-
easygoing. Yeah, we're pretty easy.
Yeah, we're pretty flexible, which is good.
Yeah.
Water, really.
a lot
Because
of-
you never know, a lot of the clubs we're playing for the first time, you never know what the situation's going to be. Every club sounds different, and big stage, small stage, you never know the configuration. So it's really good to be malleable for that.
So the new album is out this summer, right?
We don't know that. We're still hoping someone, a label wants to work with us on it. So we're going to kind of defer to them.
But this year-ish?
I hope so.
It's recorded, it's all
ready
done.
to go. It's done.
Yeah.
We're manifesting this year.
Yes.
I hope so. Yeah, we have a video. We released a single from the record last year, and we did a video for it called Red Sky, and we have a new single and a new video that's ready to go, but we're kind of waiting to see what happens with the label landscape.
Well, thank you so much for coming along. You're playing Madrid on Wednesday.
Yeah.
And it will be fantastic. I hope you have a lovely day. I don't know if you're going to hang around, go and see some music. I would advise it, but thank you so much for coming along.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a lovely stay in Barcelona and Madrid.
Thanks
for having us
okay.
here. It's been a pleasure.
RPS, live from Primavera Sound, proudly presented by
Meta Hype and Cupra.